Live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, it's time for the Exit Exchange, brought to you by XPX Atlanta, dedicated to changing the trajectory of exit planning services in the Southeast. Now, here's your host.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Exit Exchange. I'm John Ray, and folks, this is going to be a great one. I'm sitting here with Maria Forbes and Mike Rosenthal, both board members for XPX Atlanta. Maria, Mike, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
We're in the studio. This is awesome.
Yeah.
It's great to be across the table and live here talking about XPX and the great work XPX does, and featuring one of our great supporters of XPX. But before we get started, let's tell you a little bit about XPX Atlanta and just throw out there that if you're a advisor that wants collaboration in the work you do with your clients, you realize that you don't have all the answers and you want a team of people to help put your client first, you found the right organization, because XPX delivers a collaborative-based networking exchange with broad representation of exit planning competencies and a bridge that spans value building, value transfer, and life legacy for business owners. If you'd like more information, go to exitplanningexchange.com or xpxatlanta.org. Either place you can find more information, and we'd love to welcome you to the organization. And now we welcome Jeff Armacost, and Jeff is the chief brand guy at Whole Brain Creative. Jeff, welcome.
Good to be here.
Great to have you here. Yeah, great to have you back, actually. Great to have you back.
That's right.
Let's talk a little bit about you and how you're serving folks at Whole Brain.
Yeah, I am a brand developer for smaller business. You know, it's not corporate. It's usually private owned businesses, and in that space, I'm a little bit of sometimes I call myself like Tigger. You know, I'm the only one out there. I have found a couple here and there along the way, but it's just not something that's generally done, you know, and from a really strategic, dedicated standpoint. There's great brands out there because there's just, you know, a lot of owners that just have a sense for that. But so I'm a brand developer. I work with, you know, other advisors in a real collaborative sense. That's why XPX, I'm on that board as well, and support that great organization.
Awesome. Well, we have so many questions, Jeff. And one of them is around what is branding? Because I think for most of us, the general category of marketing is understood. And when we think about how we best serve our clients, branding has a deep, I would say, knowing you as long as I have, profound impact on the business, on the success of the business and the success of the exit. So tell us about what branding is, since it seems to be a bit misunderstood.
I'm going to start off with a little jujitsu on you and ask you, just off the top of your head, what is branding? Just
so
what you know.
And I have a little bit of an advantage here, having worked with you. But I think so for most of us, branding is what does the company look like? What's the visual sort of mark, logo, right?
And that's a common answer. And you know, branding has some really bad branding. It's really misunderstood, and often it's relegated to it's your logo or your look and feel, and it's much more than that. It's a foundational thing. You know, a big part of branding is it's supposed to be the aha kind of component of a brand that, you know, it is so clearly understood by lots of people. You know, that's the awareness to the loyalty of it, and so a big part of branding is creating, you know, that it's branding is understanding. So that's and it's a foundational thing, like you said, it's not your logo. It's not, you know, we know that through, you know, the big corporate brands that we know the Nike logo or the Disney logo. Mm-hmm. So it is a foundational thing that really is about creating understanding about what's awesome about you and what's different.
I think one of the things I've learned, and I think one aspect of brand that is so misunderstood is the messaging around that look and feel, what you're saying out there to the world and what owners are saying to the world about their brand and about their work comes through brand.
Yep. You look for a part, I do my own branding to help create understanding of what it is. And, one of the, helpful tools is it's like the 2 Ds of branding. It is defining and demonstrating your brand. Both of those have the ing on them, the participle, because it's not just about, what's your brand strategy, your brand document, this inert stuff that gathers dust. You got to do your brand. So the defining is what you were alluding to. It's the story. That's really, if you're really going to pick one part of brand, it's not the logo, it's not the visual, style. It is the story. So, and then the demonstrating of it that's where it's foundational. It's every part of your business, needs to be, informed by the brand, from sales to marketing to the internal, the team, onboarding to culture development and that kind of stuff.
I completely agree. I always joke, if you want to see branding at work, walk into a Chick-fil-A and drop something on the floor and see how long it takes for somebody to come over and pick it up that's an employee. That's about the brand. They're
all living the brand. I work with Marie and I work with clients together, and she's, in that people development, space. And that's a huge part of, the Chick-fil-A brand is that the internal brand drives the external brand. Those people live the brand. And that's probably the main touch point of Chick-fil-A is your interaction with those, with the team, that drank the Kool-Aid, drank their lemonade, I guess.
That's right. They do a phenomenal job training.
And a good lemonade too.
That's right. So, what does branding mean in the private business world, and especially for owners that are trying to plan an exit? What does it mean for them?
Well, important point just to back up a little bit is it means the same thing fundamentally as it does to Nike and to Apple and to Coke. I mean, it really is a fundamental discipline. Finance is is finance for, whether it's big corporation or small business. Now there are differences to a small business. Brand is, it's not a quantifiable thing. Like, we're talking in the exit space, like EBITDA. So it's a little bit, it's like, we're touching on here. It's tougher to measure. But what it means to a privately owned smaller business is, essentially, people know who we are, know what's great or different about us or both. And a lot of people, the right amount of people, not just little numbers, but a lot of people know about us, and we have a reputation. In a sense, brand equals reputation to a certain degree.
Okay. Well, how does the brand help a company prepare for an exit or get ready to exit?
Again, since branding is foundational, you'll whether you have a great brand or not, it shows up through other parts of your business. In other words, that's why I always talk about brand marketing. The best marketing is powered by brand. So great brand leads to great marketing. Great brand can lead to a totally, energized, talented team that lives the brand like a Chick-fil-A. A measure of, but if you really are going to focus on brand, a question to ask is there any kind of any level of difference between the internal reality of our company and the external perception? That's one of the biggest pain points I've heard from owners that have brought me in to help develop their brand is we are so great. I did a rebranding for a Montessori school here, Arbor Montessori, a few years back, and I never, their curriculum developer was like, "We're so great. How come nobody knows it?" They knew they were doing something really cool, really different. They're the best Montessori in the whole Greater Atlanta area. How come nobody knows it? So it's that dissonance that we're great. Why don't people know that? Even our best customers, they like us, but they don't know what we know. That's one measure. That's a subjective thing, but it's a good question to ask.
Okay. So how does a company attract buyers at a price point that is attractive for the seller, obviously?
Well, again, so much of this is actually thinking about branding, understanding branding, and leveraging and optimizing your brand. It's not complicated. You got everything comes back to, a simple construct. Buyers of a business are customers too. They are, you said earlier when we were talking, perception is reality. So those buyers, for a business, yes, they're doing due diligence, they got tools and systems to figure out, but they're also learning a story about a company. So, you can persuade them and communicate and have the light bulb go on for them too, that this company, has a great brand. They've got a great story. They've got all the marketing machine to put that story out there on the road which makes it easier for buyers to sell. I mean, for customers to buy and to buy more and to feel good about buying from you. So it's, really it's just important to remember that buyers are customers too.
Okay. So does a strong brand, or how does a strong brand command higher multiples in terms of EBITDA?
Well, again, it's a foundational thing that, it just, when you have a strong brand and it integrates with marketing and you've got some, a really great brand marketing machine, sales, team, the onboarding and just, team development, it just comes through those, it's a foundational part of your business that makes many other parts of the business hum, and so, better marketing, better sales, better close rate, all those things, it translates to numbers through the other parts of your business.
So, one of the things I think that we've seen, and John and I, before we sat down, we're talking about sort of changes in the modern world, and we were talking about it in the context of mapping, but I'm thinking about it in the context of branding and things like Google reviews and Yelp reviews. And is that part of the process that you focus on?
Oh, definitely. It's a very comprehensive process. And my engagements, it's any kind of, investment into brand, whether you're doing it internally, you bring someone in like myself, or you have a really good, brand or marketing agency that is strong with brand. It's foundational and it's comprehensive. So up front, if you're looking at, doing a rebrand, you're something's not working, or we need a new story. You're going to start by, going back to doing some discovery, talking to your clients, doing some research. What are we all about? What do people know about us? Do they understand what our value proposition is, et cetera? So, that's the looking at the Google reviews and whatnot. Yeah, that's a great new tool to find out, what people think about you. And you're going to look at that. You're going to look at, it's a comprehensive process to kind of just put a new stake in the ground, about what people think about you.
The power of those reviews was brought home to me, I don't know, maybe a dozen years ago. I was traveling with my couple of my daughters, and it seemed like every time we had a glitch at a hotel, the hotel would rush food to our room. And it took 3 times for that to happen before I realized they're trying to keep you from getting angry and going online and disparaging their brand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they're getting ahead of the curve.
Yeah. It's, everything is so transparent and flattened now through technology, and the reviews are a big part of that. Process-wise, what you were talking about before, it is a really valuable tool for brand development. We did a repositioning website for Hi-Fi Buys here in Atlanta, and I didn't even have to do any customer interviews, which we usually do, because they had hundreds and hundreds of just raves on Yelp and Google that when I came in there, I was able to learn about the brand. I'm going to hear it from the owners and from the internal team, but you have to talk to customers or clients to square that with how they talk about it. It's usually pretty close, in the businesses I work with, but sometimes you'll find some disparities, and it's important to talk to the customers because you you learn how they talk about your brand. Sometimes you can use your own language, and you don't want to do that. You want to learn how they talk about your brand.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Jeff, I want to share a little bit about kind of the mechanics of brand, and thinking about two clients you and I have worked with now. And one of these, I think, is so classic of owners who have hired, and the brand is no longer about them. It's about their company. And so now the brand has to shift from pointing at a single person to a group of people. And so that was, I think, profound in terms of, we think about what's foundational and how they sell and their messaging out in the market, and also ultimately what what buyers see, right, around their messaging. But that was I think it's a really good example of why we need this, why we need to be talking about this. But before I get to that, I want to ask you about a little bit of the mechanics of how does it help, what do you do with exit planning? And I know a little bit about what you've done already with my clients, but there's a process you go through with clients to get them to understand this and to sort of put it into place. Talk about the mechanics of branding.
Yeah, it's a foundational part of your company. So one of the important things to interject is like public service announcement is, it's key to start early. Brand is not something that you can, if you're 6 months out from a sale, it's tough to move the needle on your brand. It's really important to start early. But process wise, it's what I touched on before. It is a, first you're going to structure and if you identify the need to really develop the brand, is this a full rebranding? What's at stake here? I mean, I'm working on, a number of different clients right now, and there's one who's on top of a really, really cool, differentiated kind of product in the wealth management space and 401k specifically. And he's having business opportunities left and right. He's got a great, charismatic personal brand, which means he can put that out there pretty easily. He's getting all kinds of opportunities, so he needs to move fast. And we had to make the assessment. Do we want to just go for a full rebrand, which is going to include the visual style? And we came around with no. We don't have time for that. We have to just get the story right, because the current story is just completely off base. He can't really even send his people he meets and to his website. Even it's just so off base. It's going to be a hitch in the giddy up. Yeah. And that alludes to to one of the key dynamics of process in this smaller business space is that that's probably the biggest difference between bigger corporate brand development is we small business owners have fewer resources, less time, less bandwidth, and you have to have it's got to be done affordably and efficient. So key thing is sometimes we're doing this fundamental brand development on the fly, and that's there's a little bit of an art to that. You got to really be you got to triage. What is the most important thing right now?
Yeah, one of the things we were going to talk about was how does an owner know they need branding, like a refresh or a repositioning. But I don't really think it's the owner that knows most of the time. I think it's going to be us that helps an owner understand how their lack of a strong brand and right messaging is going to impact the ability to accelerate growth, to work toward a successful exit. Am I right?
You're right. A lot of times an owner is not going to realize it. Now he or she might be frustrated with their marketing or their sales, and brand is a big part of it. This company I was just talking about is a great example. It's like, their story is just completely off base, but what he knew was that he's getting no traction from his website, his lead generation, but I worked with one of his other kind of colleagues, and I did some work for them, and he saw the story we had created for their own investment methodology and how we branded it. And he's like, aha, that's what I need. So he understood it, but it took a while. It took some pain to get there.
Yeah, it's like anything else. There are certain symptoms they feel. They may not understand what the root cause of those symptoms could be. Branding. I'm not getting enough traction on my website. May not be a website problem. It may be a messaging problem, right? With the brand. I think the other thing we really want our fellow XPX advisors to think about is how to open the conversation, how to help clients understand that their brand is having a, potentially negative impact on their ability to continue growing in the direction they want to, reaching their growth goals and or exit timeline.
And again, the key to that, to helping business owners or their advisors that are helping them understand and talk about and really assess for the need for brand development, is to keep it simple. I mean, that's a huge part of branding. It's just, in other words, there aren't any fancy, KPIs or metrics or acronyms for it. It's questions like, what do people think about you? Do you feel like that people know your company as well as you and your team does internally? Do they understand what's great or awesome about you? Just real simple stuff. And that's the conversation to have.
One of the things I thought was so powerful about your process that I like to talk about with clients is you're going to interview their clients. So you said to me probably 15 years ago, what you think you're putting out there is not necessarily what your clients think you're doing for them. And so it's really important to have those conversations. And you have that from objective party. What is it that an owner and team is doing for you, really, what they perceive and what they think they're receiving?
It's a really, really important part of the brand development process. And it's a really, it can be a great, rewarding exercise for the owner, because the way we do it is we're not, we're interviewing ideal customers because we're trying to tell the story of the ideal vision of your brand. And so, at the end of the day, when I'm getting with my clients and sharing the interview summary, it's like, it makes their week, because it's like, they're hearing, and the thing that they might be hearing things they haven't heard before, because this dynamic of a third party person coming in there with folks who already like you, you don't have those kind of conversations as the owner, as a sales guy, as a marketing person. You really, I would say you should. I mean, sometimes it's okay to ask, hey, what do you think about us? But it's just not the nature of a lot of There's a humility to a lot of it. You can be a good salesperson, but not really kind of do that where you fish for the compliments and the understanding. It really is a great part of the process, and it's got so much value to it because it delivers. I mean, the best messaging for any brand, your customers write it. You listen to your customers, and like I said, you use their language. They'll give you headlines and stories. Also, it's another little value add. You can pull just the most amazing testimonials from these kind of conversations because they're very thoughtful testimonies, not just, XYZ company is so great. It really, the testimonials themselves can articulate the nuance that your prospects need to know about. That's hard to articulate. It's simple as hard. In most things,
It is so true. So true. So are there just, in kind of wrapping this up, are there a couple of questions advisors might bring to the discovery process with clients that will lead them to an opening to brand as part of the strategic work?
Again, there's the basic question, how do you feel about your brand? Just let them talk about that. Is question number one, and then you're looking and you're peeking under the hood of their marketing, and both the technical and the foundation, the story, the content that drives the marketing. But other questions would be, again, like I mentioned before, like what do you feel like is your reputation out there? What are you known for? Do you feel like that people know you for particular thing or just one of the crowd? Just real basic questions like that.
Yeah, I love brand is not the logo, it's the story. I think that says a lot.
Yeah.
Jeff Armacost, this has been great. And I can't imagine that there aren't some folks upon hearing this interview want to get together and talk about their brand, right? So let's give them directions on how they can do that.
Yeah, I could talk forever about brand. I see the world through brand. Well, you can go to wholebrainbrands.com. That's the website. And that's really, that's the main touch point for myself out there.
Terrific. Jeff Armacost, Whole Brain Creative. He's the chief brand guy there. And looks through the world through branding. I love that. That's awesome. Great work, Jeff. And thanks for what you do for XPX.
Thank you.
Hey, folks, just another reminder, this show is brought to you by XPX Atlanta. XPX Atlanta is fundamentally changing the trajectory of exit planning services in the southeastern United States. Their values include putting the client first, working collaboratively, thinking long-term, considering the human angle, and always be learning. If that's an organization you're interested in as an advisor, or as a business owner for that matter, planning an exit, go to xpxatlanta.org for more information. Maria, Mike, this has been a great one.
Appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Absolutely. Thanks to both of you for being here. And I am John Ray with Business RadioX. Join us next time here on the Exit Exchange.